Hi everybody, it's meteorologist Joe Cioffi on this Friday, June the 15th, as we're coming up on 10 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Hope everybody had a great day. Father's Day weekend is here, and we are looking forward to what's going to be some great weather up my way. Going to just touch upon a couple of points right at the beginning. First of all, Priscilla Mayu, thank you. I am actually feeling a little bit better. My voice is making slow progress, but getting there. And hopefully the weekend will take care of this. I'm going to be doing a little fishing tomorrow up in Connecticut. If you're in the Northeast or in the northern mid-Atlantic states, take advantage of what is going to be a very nice weekend. And we've had so few nice weekends this spring. And if you're watching in Maryland and Delaware and Northern Virginia or in the western part of Virginia, where rain has been pretty much a regular thing for the last couple of months, even you're going to get a break out of this this weekend, and we're going to eventually wind our way up to record highs. First off, let me just say from the beginning, and we'll get this out of the way, I am an Amazon affiliate member. I put up a link there in the chat. There's also a link on the descriptor to this video in the live stream. You can support my channel by using that Amazon link to shop. We're a participant in the Arab Amazon Services LLC Associates program, and it's a way for my channel to earn fees from Amazon by linking to them. So just want to just put out that little bit of disclosure. Second order of business, and I'm going to share with you guys first, but I'm currently on a weather app that the My Weather Concierge weather app, which I am going to be coming off that app at the end of this month. So if you like, you can switch to another forecaster, or you can unsubscribe. And I have links up on my Facebook page with some instructions on how to do that. And I will also put it in the body of the forecast on the app as we get toward the end of the month. Now, I am working on a new app, of which one of the features will be the Joe and Joe Weather Show. And it will, when everything is all said and done, keep your fingers crossed, it'll be available on iTunes and on Android. And it may happen sooner than later. I'm trying to get, hope that this gets done within the next 4 or 5 weeks. So keep your fingers crossed on that, and I will let you know. It is going to be a free app. So we're going to go down that particular road. So you can always have easy access to the Joe and Joe Show and whatever other, possibly I might going to try to figure out a way to do that, and also have something where you can get to the regular video, but I'm still working on the details. So I wanted to share that with you from the onset. So let's take a look at what's happening today. And one of the very interesting things that occurred by me is that we had this upper air disturbance. I've got the latest U.S. satellite picture here, and we had this upper air disturbance that dropped southward from New England and moved off the coast of southeastern New England. And you can see the clouds with this. Now, the thing was that at about the early part of this afternoon, that back edge of the cloud cover, and I'm going to draw it in purple, was right to about New York City. So if you were south and west of that line I just drew, you had a really good day. Just maybe a few passing clouds or a few patchy clouds, and that's it. If you were north and east of that, you were sitting in much more cloud cover, and there were even a few sprinkles earlier today around Shinnecock at the U.S. Open, for example, but the weather conditions did improve there during the afternoon as the sun broke through the clouds. So it was a little bit tricky with this system that was sitting off of Nova Scotia yesterday. We saw that it was going to be very slow to get out of the way, and as a result, we wound up with cloud cover. But now that that's done, it's dry air. Now, we do have a bank of clouds this evening that's running down into parts of Virginia, western Maryland, and on up back through Ohio. There's actually some threat for severe weather tonight in the upper Midwest. We're seeing a bit of an outbreak of thunderstorms. They are also seeing some thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast and down through Florida, and we've got that going on this evening. Now, in the tropics, we've got actually 3 systems that we're looking at, and we can see just about all 3 on this satellite view. First off, we'll go to the one that's going to have some impact on the weather in the U.S., and that is the remnants now of what was once a Category 4 Hurricane Bud. And that second circle should not have been there. But these remnants are moving to the northeast now, and they're going to pick up a little bit of steam as they do so. And this rain is going to move into the southwestern part of the U.S. and then eventually make its way up the Rockies and into the Northern Plains. So there will be some drought relief across parts of New Mexico and into Arizona and Colorado and Utah and areas that have been bone dry. Let me wipe the slate clean here. We'll put the satellite back up. Give me 1 second. And here we go. So the other thing to watch, and that is, I mean, this is really more for, at least in this case, maybe because it is affecting, a major resort area. We have the season's 3rd tropical storm in the Pacific south of Mexico, and that is Tropical Storm Carlotta, and you can see it here, at least half of it anyway, as it is approaching. It's not too far from Acapulco, and there are some tropical storm warnings up. Top winds are 40 miles an hour, but the big deal with this is the heavy rains that it is producing, torrential rains in some of the mountainous areas just inland of the coast. The other thing is the disturbed weather that we've been kind of on and off watching, and it started with the long-range model guidance back over 10 days ago with this, when it went overly bullish. We do have disturbed weather in the Northwest Caribbean and moving over the Yucatan Peninsula. This is going to be getting into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico over the weekend. We still see fairly strong winds aloft, and that is unfavorable for development. Conditions may become a little bit more conducive for development when it gets into the western Gulf. The problem is that it's probably going to wind up moving fairly close to land fairly quickly. So it may not have time, and it may not have any room to do anything. So we're going to, we'll monitor it over the weekend, and we'll see where it goes from there. But just bear in mind, the Hurricane Center's only rating that at about a 10% chance of developing into anything substantial. So nonetheless, it is going to be a big rain producer. And if we look at the rainfall from WPC, and I kind of agree with this idea, especially if you're going to take this close to the coast of Texas and Mexico. Maybe there'll be some weak little low. You're talking about 3, 4, 5 inch rain amounts spread out over the next 7 days. Much of this is going to be front end heavy, so this will take us into there's not that much going on there now. So this is from for Sunday and for Monday, and maybe a little bit past that. The rains in the southwest, now they pale by comparison. We're talking rainfall amounts of 3/4 of an inch to maybe a couple of inches in some parts of eastern Arizona, western New Mexico. It's a little bit more bullish where you get into some 2 and 3 inch plus amounts as you go into eastern New Mexico and in West Texas, and it is especially dry there, so that'll be helpful. And then notice that rainfall area does blossom out across the central and northern plains. You've got a big bubble of heavy rain being pointed out for the upper Midwest in northern Wisconsin, northwestern Michigan, northeastern Minnesota, and that extends back through South Dakota and on up into parts of Wyoming and Montana. So this is, again, over the next 7 days. It's not going to be raining in all those areas straight through. When we take a look at the GFS, we can break it down a bit better in terms of the timing. But here's the Storm Prediction Center's severe weather risk for tonight and we've got a marginal to slight risk in the upper Midwest. You can see the radar behind it. Again, let me remind everybody, it is now 7:18 Eastern Time, so you're seeing the last radar frame here is actually from just before 6 minutes before 7 o'clock Eastern Time. So if you're watching this later on in the evening or overnight, be sure to check your local National Weather Service office for the latest radars and for the latest watches and warnings that may be up. Slight risk in parts of Wyoming, marginal risk back through western Nebraska, southwestern South Dakota, and the rest of Wyoming, except the southwest. We also have a small area of marginal risk along the South Carolina coast. And one of our regulars, Nick Cortese, is actually down in the Myrtle Beach area, and he's getting pummeled. He let me know that he's getting pummeled by some thunderstorms. And also some rather heavy rain-producing thunderstorms going on in parts of South Florida, mainly away from the west coast, more central and toward the east, and they're moving toward the east. So that should be really the center of attention here tonight with regards to any severe weather threat. So why don't we take a look at the GFS and some of the other weather models to see where we're going in the next week, because we are going to warm up. I think some places are going to see 2 days in the northeast. Some places will only see 1 day of 90-degree readings, and that will be Monday. Some places will see 2 days, which will be Monday and Tuesday, and I think the best chances for that will be for central New Jersey southward. And there'll be 1 or 2 odd spots that might see a 90-degree reading on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And I think the best chance for that would be in the southern half of New Jersey away from the coast, southeastern Pennsylvania, and southward. So let me show you what the problem is as we take a look at the full U.S. Now, you've got the bud moisture that is sitting in between Baja California and the mainland of Mexico that is moving northward, and some of the rain is already reaching into parts of southeastern Arizona. Just excuse me, just have to do a little nose clearing there. So we'll set this and we're going to move it along. So this is from this evening, and as we move through tomorrow, you can see that rain in the southwest moving northward. You can also see the Gulf of Mexico moisture beginning to move northwestward and emerging from off the Yucatan Peninsula. The GFS does have, that little red ball there, although there's no evident circulation. There is some kind of a weak trough of some kind, or maybe a weak little low that's forming. And meanwhile, here in the east, by tomorrow night, high pressure is off the Atlantic coast, and we would have just finished up enjoying a beautiful day. Also, some possible rough weather across northern Montana and northern Idaho during the day tomorrow. We'll see if that winds up being a severe weather threat or not. And then that translates tomorrow night into another round of severe thunderstorms, possibly over northern, again, the same place where we're seeing them this evening in the upper Midwest. Now, we are at 2 a.m. Sunday. I'm going to tell you, at least for my area, it's going to be very dry tomorrow. The humidity levels are going to be low. And even Sunday, it's not going to be all that humid yet. Monday is going to be the real brutal day around here. Now, as we go through Sunday, the bridge off the East Coast just sits there. And then you can see the moisture that starts to gather along the western Gulf states with that weather system that is coming out of the northwestern Caribbean. The GFS is not overly bullish initially. It does start to produce more rain as we move through Monday and into Tuesday. And here is Monday, and at this point, there is a weather front Monday evening lying across upstate New York and back through the Great Lakes. And that front is pressing southward, a west or a west-southwest wind here on Monday, and we're going to see temperatures in the 90s. And I'm going to just, knowing the fact that these two thermometers, LaGuardia and Teterboro especially, the LaGuardia temperature is out of whack because They're doing major construction there. There's always a lot of traffic around there, so the heat under certain conditions gets trapped. Once upon a time, LaGuardia used to be cooler than the other stations in the New York area, particularly Central Park and Newark. And in this new era, it is consistently higher under certain conditions. And Teterboro, there might actually be something wrong with that thermometer. So don't be too shocked if you see most highs in some places in the mid to upper 90s, and you find out that those two stations wind up being at least at the very high end of that range, or possibly even at 100. So this front, and here, this is the problem going into next week, in that, excuse me, the timing of that front on Tuesday is important, because if it comes through early in the day, that is going to minimize the heating. But if it waits till mid or late afternoon, which is kind of where the GFS has been going with this, it's certainly going to allow areas just to the south of that front to make another day of 90 plus. So that is going to affect the temperatures. The other thing is, in terms of the timing, it will also impact the development of thunderstorms. Now, I happen to think that this could be one of these situations where there could be an east-west band of downpours and thunderstorms that work through during Tuesday afternoon before the front sags to the south. And from there, we get the next question here in the east, is that the front, how far south does it get? Does it stall out across Maryland and Virginia, and you wind up getting a couple of days of showers? Or does that front push much further south than that? The GFS was trying to argue that it would push fairly far to the south, but the last run seems to have backed away from this. And one of the things that I did notice today, even though we can't show a similar map, the European actually stalls that front further north than the GFS, and that's going to make it a bit more problematic in terms of having some more rain to deal with for the middle part of the week for the mid-Atlantic, and maybe as far north as the southern areas of the Northeast. The reason is, I think the models are kind of having difficulty trying to decide about the ridge in the east, and whether and how fast that ridge is going to weaken or not. Here is the European for Thursday. In fact, let me go back a couple. We can actually watch the trough off the East Coast lifting. That's off the East Coast now, lifts out. So that big upper high builds in quite strongly for Monday. This is when we get the big heat. The jet stream is displaced further north, back up into southern Canada, and then you have the upper high starting to flatten a bit as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, and you can see that northern jet comes down in the east as we go through the latter part of the week. So that might push the front further south. Then after that, there's troughing back out through the plains, so you get a little bit of ridging that develops in the east toward next weekend and beyond. It doesn't look like anything really too problematic. We don't see another popping up of a huge ridge here. The GFS, let's see what it does with its upper air. And I don't know why it did that, but it did that. Okay, so let's see what the GFS does with its upper air. So there's your trough this evening. The upper air disturbance that moved off the coast of southeastern New England, that is moving out. The upper ridge builds, and we get a gradual increase in temperatures, and eventually the humidity comes into play. Monday's really going to be brutal. The heat indices are going to probably be up at about 100 or 105 in some places. Trough in the west, ridge in the east, a signature of hot weather. And you can see that upper high on the GFS also gets flattened out a bit. The southern extent of the jet stream from Canada runs from about southern Minnesota to Chicago to about Washington, D.C., and offshore. By the way, you still have troughing in the west, which is one of the reasons why we're seeing these tropical systems in the Pacific, these last two tropical systems in the Pacific, hug the coast rather than take the more classic track out to the west and out into the open waters of the Pacific. This is the second fastest start of the Pacific hurricane season since the satellite era began in 1966, and it's the fastest was 1974, and 1974 comes ahead of this year by all of 6 hours. So if Carlotta had become a depression 6 hours earlier, it would have been the fastest start. But it matches up very close to 1974. Anyway, let's go forward on the GFS with the upper air. You still have this more of a northwest flow. So this would kind of favor the idea that there will be some drying for the Northeast, and at least for the northern mid-Atlantic states. You might push those showers down maybe further into southern Virginia or North Carolina. You do have a bit of ridging here in the southeast, but it doesn't build all the way up the East Coast at the end of the week. It just kind of stays there, and then the ridge pops up a bit going toward June 24th here, but it doesn't burst all the way up. So I still think we're in a situation where, at least for my neck of the woods, we're talking about hot days that won't last longer than 1 or 2 or at most 3 before something comes along in the flow and changes things. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why I don't like, and I haven't liked, and I've made my opinion very known about this. The old definition of a heat wave around my area, New York City, Long Island, Hudson Valley, New Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, was 5 days in a row of 90 plus. And, then they started playing with that, and it was like, well, instead of 90, let's do 88. I don't know why they picked 88. Now it's 3 days of 90 plus. And I think that's ridiculous because you can randomly string 3 days of 90 plus many times over the course of a summer. When you average about 19 or 20 90-degree days in a given summer season anyway, you're going to probably put a few streaks of 3 days in a row. I think it just really dumbs down the heat wave. And I can remember, and it's been a while since we've experienced this, but I can remember a number of instances of heat waves that lasted 90 plus, lasting 8, 9, 10, 11, and I think the record is 13 for New York City. So, these 3-day heat waves are just not my cup of tea. Sorry, they don't work for me. But, I don't make the rules, apparently. So, that pretty much, I think, sums it up. We're kind of in this funny place right now in the time of year. Spring now going into summer. The hurricane season rather young, and this is a period that usually you don't see a whole lot going on with respect to that. So we just gotta we'll see how it goes. Not that we're looking for these things to happen, but the weather is going to be somewhat on the ordinary side, and on the other hand, we will get these bursts of severe weather from time to time. And that will probably keep us occupied, barring any kind of tropical system popping up. Reaver, does Tropical Tidbits show the same models that the Hurricane Center uses? Actually, it does do that. It does. Let me, I'll show you, by the way. Levi Cowan, Tropical Tidbits, tropicaltidbits.com. Go to his site. The guy not only has a great website, but he knows his tropical meteorology. So when there are tropical systems going on, I usually try to promote and share his videos. They are very, very they're very informative. And he really gets into things. Now, if you go on the top menu, which I messed up this box, I can't get up to the top to show you, but there's a top menu there, and I think it says current storms. If you bring the drop-down menu, these are some of the models that the Hurricane Center uses. And in fact, if you click on each model, you can look at the different systems that are out there that they're running model plots for. Now, they usually don't run model plots for every cloud mass. But once they designate something as an invest, then that's when they start to run plots. So you've got the HWRF and the HWRFP. One is a tight view of the system, and one is a wider view. We can go to, so here's this is the HWRF for Carlotta, and there it is. Actually, well, it should be 4. 4. You can see Bud here in the upper corner, and Carlotta is that dark blue blob that is just, you see where that H is? So just go south and west of there, just slightly to the left of it, the lower left of it, and you see that dark blue blob there. That is the HWRF's view of Carlotta, which by this evening on this model, it still has it sitting right on the coast and kind of leaves it there as we go through the overnight and into tomorrow. By the way, one of the things that with these models, with this particular plot, you'll notice that the map moves. Okay, so it stays more focused on the tropical system by moving the geography to try to carry it along as these systems are moving from one different spot to another. Now we can see that forecast model. I can see that menu a bit better. Whoops, sorry, let's go back to hurricane. The HBON is another model, and here is, let's see, it's got invest, what is this? Invest 93E. So this is actually out in the, trying to see what the geography, the latitudes are. So this is actually out at 110, 111 west, and 23, 24, 25 north. This must be, I'm not sure why they're showing this. This may be the remnant. I'm not even sure what this is, to tell you the truth. I don't know if that's what's left of Valletta, maybe. That's kind of what it looks like in terms of a remnant low, but I'm not kind of recognizing this. Yeah, so that's 110 west and 25 north. So I'm guessing they're using that as the remnant of Aletta, and there really isn't too much to show you with this. And then they're jumping to something else, so I'm not quite. Oh, this is down to Bud. And then maybe they have it labeled wrong. I don't know, but you get the idea here. They kind of hold the system in one spot and move the geography instead of the other way around. So if it looks kind of funky to you, that's what it is, and that is all there on Tropical Tidbits. So by all means, make use of this stuff. If you're a weather enthusiast, he's got so many great tools in there. The model soundings, and it's a very, very good learning experience from that standpoint. Raymond is on tonight. Good to see you, Raymond. Anthony Orr posting what the Hurricane Center said, which is a 10% chance of tropical storm development. T-Bear, good to see you here. I'm feeling better. Happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to everybody here, and thank you. Yes, happy fishing. Little Star-Lord, good to see you. Delvin, James NASCAR, Reaver is here. Johnny Quest, your lakes or rivers are all still pretty high. Yeah, you're going to see them come down a little bit, but you got still some showers when that next front comes down. But at least you're getting a little bit of a break. I didn't look at the CMC today, Israel, so I don't know. I didn't give it a good look. Does the GFS and the CMC say the same for the trough and ridging as the Euro? I'll look at it off screen here so I can do it a little faster. Let me see what the friendly neighborhood Canadian model. Actually, the CMC is even faster with the cold front. It brings the cold front through here Monday evening, and then already has it to our south by Tuesday morning. So if then it's got another another wave that comes across the Great Lakes. So the front actually buckles a bit during Tuesday night into Wednesday, and then you get another front here on Wednesday. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. It seems to be has maybe a bit more of an odder solution. I'll have to give it a closer look when I'm done here, and maybe I can talk about it on the Joe and Joe show. Johnny Quest, another long period of wet and unsettled weather for Western Virginia. Yeah, Johnny, with this front coming down on Tuesday, timing and position is going to be really important. And how far south does it get? A lot of times when you get ridges in the east, those ridges tend to be stronger and last a little bit longer. But that's usually in cases where if that's the long-term trend. It seems to me that that long-term trend has kind of broken down a little bit. So I don't know that I necessarily believe that the ridge in the east is going to wind up being stronger. The GFS has been kind of fighting that back and forth. A few days ago, it was pushing the front through here Monday night into early Tuesday. Then it kind of backed off into late Tuesday. Now it's pushed it back up earlier in the day. So the European has been kind of saying maybe more like late Monday night, early Tuesday morning. But you know what? I don't have a lot of trust in the European either because it hasn't been a really good performer. Mahogany, happy Father's Day to you. Anthony Orr, a 6-week heat wave began with 23 days of 90 temperatures. The average high and low was 91.73. Okay, Anthony, but tell me where. Is that for where you are in northeastern Pennsylvania? That would be interesting. That's 23 days of 90. Where? I'm trying to think of where that, I don't think that's New York. It's definitely not New York City, because I think New York City's record is 13. So unless it's Philadelphia, which is maybe not out of the realm of possibility. I agree, Colin. This weather is awesome. I gotta love, dew points that are going to be in the upper 40s and low 50s for tomorrow, and in the middle and upper 50s on Sunday. Technically, Sunday will be a little bit more humid than Saturday, but that is just technically. Anytime you get dew points low 60s and lower in a really warm air mass, that's usually pretty comfortable, or it's reasonable. And Monday, on the other hand, we're going to see dew points in the upper 60s to low 70s. And Monday, by the way, would not be surprised if there winds up being a couple of pop-up thunderstorms from all the heating, regardless of where that front is, and whether it's coming through late Monday night or if it's coming through more like mid or late afternoon on Tuesday. All right, folks, going to leave it here. I did a pretty long one, 32 minutes tonight, so that's pretty good. So just a reminder, the Amazon link, if you'd like to use it, it's a great way to support my channel. If you shop on Amazon and you go through the link that's on the descriptor to this video, that's great. Thank you very much. And that's part of the Amazon affiliates program, and allows me to earn some fees from Amazon by linking to them. So end of disclosure statement. And as I said at the very beginning, in case you missed it, I'll be coming off the weather app that I'm on now, the My Weather Concierge app, at the end of the month. If you are on that as a subscriber, just to let you know, you've got the option of going to another forecaster if you'd like, or you can unsubscribe. So that is up to you. I also mentioned earlier, and I'll mention it again in case you joined late, I will be coming out with an app in the next several weeks or so, I hope. And this way you'll have my weather posts handy, and also the latest Joe and Joe weather show will be on it. So if you can't get on, if you're not on Facebook, or if you can't get to the link that I put up on Twitter, you can also, or if you somehow can't get it off the video library, because I do upload those Joe and Joe shows to the video library, you'll be able to get them on this app, and the app is going to be free. So as soon as I have that all squared away, I will let you know. The Joe and Joe Weather Show tonight will be coming up on Facebook. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi or Joe Rayo Weather at 8:50 Eastern Time. Wasn't able to line up a guest tonight, but it'll just be the two of us, and we'll go over a few things again about where we're going with all of this. And happy Father's Day to everybody. Go fishing, go to the beach, go to the pool, spend it outside if where you are the weather is good. Smoke a cigar if that's what you'd like to do. If I can get over this laryngitis, I might actually be able to do that, but I still need a couple of more days. Have a great weekend. I don't think I'm going to live stream tomorrow. I may live stream from where I'm fishing, but I may just take the day off, and then I'll just come back probably Sunday morning, and I'll do a live stream Sunday morning and get you all caught up. Besides, it's Father's Day weekend, and you want to be spending it with your kids and with your family. Have a great weekend. We'll see you at some point over the weekend.